So you learn to problem solve very early on. And I think that just being open-minded and taking a look at trades as maybe a possible way to find a career is a wonderful thing to do. And rather than just say, well, you need to go to college and college is the answer. It isn't the answer for everybody. And there's a great number of ways that you can find self-satisfaction from working, no matter what you're doing, and in the trades in particular, I think.
Every home in America needs a team of skilled trades professionals to make sure they get a job done well. Unfortunately, these careers don't always get the credit they deserve, even though they have high job satisfaction as well as high earning potential. Hear the stories of the pros. Find out why they decided to trade up. I'm Angie Hicks, and this is Trade Up with Angie. In today's episode, I caught up with Dave Grulke of Big Dave's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Whenever you meet Dave, he's dressed in his contractor overalls, ready to get the job done. Dave runs a remodeling and handyman business. Before he started his contracting business, he hung up a career in sales and management. Let's talk to Dave today. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Angie. It's so good to be here with you today.
So happy to have you. So Dave, tell me about your personal story. You started off as more of a hobby DIYer and decided to turn that into a career. You don't always see that. What compelled you to make that decision?
Well, a number of things kind of happened along the way. I guess when I started, I had a little bit of background in high school working with a construction crew and learned a few basic skills back then. As I went through college and got my first job, I entered into the sales and management side and had several different positions in different companies. And really what led me to starting this business was I was laid off from a job. So I got to thinking, well, gee whiz, I've got lots of skills on the other side. I've rehabbed a bunch of houses and apartments along the way. And why not do it for somebody else? So that, I guess by accident, I got into business.
I love that. So tell me about some of the rehabbing you did as a DIYer.
Well, my wife would tell you that we've lived in remodeling for 50 years of our married life because, well, not quite 50 because we rented it for the first 3 years. But after we got our first house, we were remodeling all the way down the line.
So this is a passion for both you and your wife?
Well, actually, yeah, I'm more the construction department and she's more the finishing department. So she's the one that does a lot of the painting, which I hate to do. But in our contracting business, we certainly offer painting services. I hire somebody else to do that part of it. But over the years, we've rehabbed several homes that we've lived in. We've rehabbed apartments that for ourselves and for others. And now my company specializes in kitchen and bathroom modeling on a mid-grade to high-end basis. And we offer a few handyman kinds of services that are related to interior remodeling.
So when you decided to go into business for yourself, what additional training did you have to do, or was there additional training you needed to do?
Well, I knew enough to be dangerous at the very beginning. And really what I started doing is I started doing handyman stuff that I was very, very comfortable in doing for others. I learned an awful lot from other contractors that I worked with over the years. And especially I learned from groups that I belonged to, trade associations and the like. So that was a big help in getting my business off the ground in talking with people that are in similar businesses in the trade association from across the country. And I still have many contacts from folks that were part of that same trade association, and call them friends and have for years.
That's great. I think having, good mentors and good connections is so important when you're starting a business, because it's hard to start a business and it can be lonely, and having people that you can turn to when you get stuck or have a question is a really important part of it. So glad to hear that you did that. So you started in the handyman business and then you ventured into remodeling. What took you there? Was it customers that pulled you there? Was it just a desire for more complicated projects?
Well, it was really all of the above, Angie. I had a loyal following at that point in time, and I knew that kitchens and bathrooms are the most expensive rooms at homes, and that's really where I wanted to be working. Anybody can put up curtain rods if they have enough skills, but when it comes to doing an intricate tile floor or building custom cabinets. I had enough skills and background to be able to do that. So I started to market my business a little differently. And that's about where Angie's List came in, is to propel me more into the kitchen and bathroom remodeling side of things versus the handyman side.
And so tell me about the business today. How many employees do you have? Give me a sense for what things look like.
Well, actually, I'm kind of winding down a little bit. I don't have I'm down to myself as the only employee. I've had up to 10 folks here on staff. What I do now is I primarily work with my trusted subcontractors. In a typical remodeling project that we do, we're going to have a plumber involved. We're going to have an electrician involved. We'll have flooring guys involved, tile guys. And I've got some great subcontractors I've worked with over the years that I would trust any place. And they're super to work with and do top-notch work that I don't have to apologize for when it comes to closing out a job.
And so how did you find your subcontractors?
Well, it's a little like dating. You have to kiss a lot of frogs to find princes. So over the course of the years, I worked with a number of different folks, and basically winnowed through them to the point where I found a group that I could trust. I call them and I say, I need you on Tuesday. They say, rather than I can't, they say, what time do you want me there? And that kind of trust and working relationship is just super.
So tell me about one of your favorite projects that you've done. I love hearing about remodeling projects. So is there a favorite one that comes to mind?
Well, there's quite a few that I would say are favorites. And it seems like each year we build another new favorite. We just completed a kitchen remodel in a nearby suburb here in Milwaukee. And worked very closely up front with the owners to design what they thought was a perfect design. And we executed exactly what they wanted, plus a little bit more. When I set out, I'm not only looking for a satisfactory report from a client, but I'm looking for a thrilled report. And that's what we got with these folks.
That's awesome. And it's great to hear when a remodeling job ends up delivering more than you expected, because, I think one of the things that homeowners sometimes run into is that, until you start getting into a project, you may not know the full scope, which you've experienced, I'm sure, in remodeling. And so, kind of when you can do the little extra instead of coming and saying it's going to be a little extra, you've got to get a customer for life there.
And most people don't end up remodeling their homes more than once or twice, if even that. Quite often they'll buy up and go to a different home and not bother remodeling to any great extent. The way we do business eliminates an awful lot of it's going to cost a little bit more, because we have our clients make all the decisions up front, and we put it in writing on what they're going to get all the way down to make, model, and color.
A kitchen remodeling project is so fun. I actually, in the last year, did my kitchen, and it was one, when I tell people about it, my husband was maybe the naysayer on the necessity to remodel the kitchen. But now when he's seen the finished product, he is just like, I couldn't live without a kitchen like this. This kitchen is wonderful. If we ever move, we have to have a kitchen just like this. So I turned a naysayer into a fan.
There you go. Yeah, that's great.
So one of the big topics that we've talked about is really the need to bring more people into the trades. I mean, you're a great example of a fantastic career, caring for homes, and but there's not enough people entering the trades today. So I'd love to get your view on what we need to do, to help bring more people into the trades, help bring more young people into the trades, get them excited about the opportunity.
Well, I think exposing them to the trades is one thing that maybe is not being done in schools now. When I came up through school, I had a shop class available to me where we worked both in metals and in woods.
Right.
So I had a little exposure at the high school level, and even before, to working with my hands. I was raised on a farm, and part of being working on a farm is you make things work yourself rather than bringing in somebody else to fix it for you.
Right.
So you learn to problem solve very early on. And I think that just being open-minded and taking a look at the trades as maybe a possible way to find a career is a wonderful thing to do. And rather than just say, well, you need to go to college and college is the answer. It isn't the answer for everybody. And there's a great number of ways that you can find self-satisfaction from working, no matter what you're doing, and in the trades in particular, I think.
Yeah. If you're considering the trades, you're maybe new to it. What are the skill sets? If you're like, if I can get someone that has this or can do this and that, I'll take them. I'll train them from there. I mean, what are those couple of things that you think are important for someone who would consider a career in the trades?
Well, the first thing is being a sponge, learning everything. Don't expect to start at the top. Most people in the trades start in what is typically called a laborer position. And a laborer basically is the guy that does the cleaning up and does the fetching for the skilled tradesman.
And maybe the heavy lifting for you, right?
Exactly. When we got heavy stuff to take upstairs, I want to just point and grunt as opposed to actually helping. But that's really a way to get started is to gosh, I don't know, a contractor around here and probably most of the country that isn't looking for laborers, for people that want to get a taste,
Right.
maybe before they commit, to see whether it's really something they'd want to do.
And if you're going to start your own contracting business, when you look back on starting your own, what are the, couple of important things that you need to be ready for when you're starting your own business?
An old manager told me once that there's two answers. The easy one is yes. The tougher one is no. And what I learned very early on is, well, not really early on in my contracting business, but about after I'd been at it a while, was to say no to certain jobs. Just because they came my way and I thought I could do them doesn't mean they're right for me. And I'd rather deliver a superior outcome as opposed to having to apologize forever for a mediocre or poor outcome.
And I think that's important, especially, for in your trade where you're much more general in contracting. You might get homeowners that are coming to you for a variety of tasks, and kind of knowing what you're good at, knowing your expertise. It's kind of like back to you and your wife, right? Like, you did the contracting, she did the design, and had that flair. It's like, know what you bring and know what you don't bring, and find people that can do the other.
It's kind of interesting to think back on the different projects that we've done and where I started versus where I am now. It started off with very general kinds of things, and now developed an expertise over the last 20 plus years in design work and bringing people on and knowing when to say no.
So let's talk a little bit about, the difference as you reflect back on your career, the 9-to-5, sales management job versus running a small business. What are the pros and cons? Like, how do you look back and kind of reflect on the differences there?
Well, I have to tell you, Angie, that I'm kind of semi-retired now. I only work on days that end in Y, and then just half a day. 8 to 8's a half a day. So that's part of running a business is particularly when you're working with homeowners, is you need to be available when they are available. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be getting calls at 2 a.m. unless it's some kind of an emergency and you're in that kind of a trade that that deals with gushing water or sparking electricity or something crazy like that.
Right.
But for lack of a better term, it's a split shift most days where I'm working on a project in the office, and then maybe I'm out in the field for a little bit helping the guys organize a job. And then doing some sales work and some other work in the evenings when folks are available, or on the weekends when folks are available to talk with me.
I mean, it can be a big time commitment, but you get a lot of variety though, too.
Oh, absolutely. There's no 2 days alike. As many projects as we've done, I've never done 2 alike. Even in a 4-family building, there's always variety. There's always something new. There's always new products that I uncover that might be perfect fits. And that's really where I develop my expertise, and why I go to the big trade shows like I was just at here last week in Vegas at the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show.
Right.
Wonderful place to find new product that I wouldn't find otherwise unless I saw it at the booth at the show.
Right, right. And you can recommend it to your next kitchen design, the latest and greatest in ovens, right?
Well, exactly. Or in my case, I'm looking for LED lights, and I found a way to light drawers, which has been a problem for
Yeah.
us. So as you open the drawer,
Oh,
the light goes on,
interesting.
kind of like when you open the fridge.
The refrigerator.
Interior cabinet lighting has been,
Right.
interior cabinet lighting's been around for a while, and once you have it, it's a little like having power windows on your car. You don't want to go back. Now we figured out a way to do drawers the same way when they open.
All right. I need that. Okay. Now I'm going to make my husband
Okay.
remodel again.
Okay, I can be bought to Angie. I can come to Andy. No big deal.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. So knowing what you know today, what would you go back and tell your 20-year-old self?
Start sooner. Start the business sooner. I probably had all the skills in marketing and management I needed within 10 or 15 years of starting my career. Instead of starting in my mid 50s, I probably should have started in my early 40s. But at the same, I'd just be a little bit farther ahead, or much farther ahead, I guess, in terms of income and larger company. And
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. So what type of advice would you give people that are considering entering the trades?
start. Go visit your friendly local plumber contractor if that's what you're interested in, or your friendly electrician, or the HVAC guy that services. You'll see their trucks running up and down the streets in your city or your town. Make a call, offer your services, even work for nothing just to get a taste of what they do. Although they'd probably pay you very well as a laborer just to get started. You'll learn a lot more than you would working at the fast food place or at the mall or something like that. You'll get dirty.
Right,
You'll get
right.
sweaty, probably.
You'll sleep well, though.
Oh, absolutely.
You'll come home tired.
Absolutely. Nothing like a hard day's work to give you a good night's sleep.
Exactly. Exactly. So, you know what? One of the things I hear a lot when I talk to homeowners, and you mentioned this in your commentary, is that, for a lot of people, they might only remodel their house once, if ever. What do you wish homeowners knew when they called you? What do you wish are the things that they understood about remodeling?
Well, the first thing I wish they didn't know was how to find HGTV. Because it takes longer than a half an hour and costs more than $100 to do just about everything.
It does?
Do it yourself. Yeah, it really does. You probably figured that out yourself when you got the final bill for the kitchen remodel. Do it yourself stuff is kind of dangerous in most situations. There are implications that you may not be aware of that are part of building code or safety code that a contractor would know. And have appropriate products that he or she would recommend to be used, as opposed to something you might just see on a YouTube video someplace. I would ask them to look for somebody that they feel confident and comfortable in, so that their expertise can be used to its max on a project.
And it's good. I think having someone that you can talk to and communicate really well with is important, especially on these bigger projects. Because there's lots of, you're deciding a lot of stuff up front. There's lots of back and forth and kind of keeping each other up to date during the project. That you want someone that you can talk frankly with.
Well, absolutely. And we're spending a significant amount of time, at least Monday through Friday, in people's homes. So they need to be comfortable with us and understand that we're there only as visitors. They're the ones that have to live with the results, whether we do it or somebody else does it.
Yeah.
And I'd much rather, I almost insist on it, that we make all the decisions up front. That way, there's no reason why we can't be there working every day and give their house back to them sooner.
So that's important. I mean, because these projects can take several weeks, even a few months, depending on the size and the scope. And the more efficient you've been at making those decisions up front, it's just going to condense that time, which everyone
Absolutely.
loves to doesn't want to be inconvenienced and out of their home longer than they have to be.
Absolutely.
So Dave, this has been a great conversation. I do like to end with a trade up tip. And this question actually comes from Kevin, who's considering a career in the trades. He's looking at HVAC, maybe plumbing or electrical, just not sure. He's a high school senior. And he's wondering just like, what is the process? So he's, looking around on various websites and can't find a lot of information on how do I get my foot in the door? How can he get an apprenticeship? Does he just email or reach out to a local plumbing or electrical company and ask them if they offer them? Or is there a more formal approach?
Well, to answer your question, it's going to be different based on areas, but it can all start the same way. Typically, the trade unions, the electrical union, the plumbing union is going to be offering apprenticeships. And those apprenticeships can be done, on a pay-as-you-go basis or earn-as-you-go basis.
Right.
They vary from place to place.
I like that idea.
Well, yeah, and you'd have a choice then of either joining the union or you can have a non-union shop, which is what most of the residential construction comes from in the country, is in non-union shops, non-union contractors. You can have a non-union shop sponsor you and work you through the apprentice, journeyman, master levels of different trade apprenticeships, I guess is the best way to put that. That generally is going to require not only some work in the classroom, but it's going to require a lot of work out in the field. So, Kevin, to answer your question, the first thing I would do is I would find one of those trucks that's servicing your area, grab the phone number, and either go to or call. I know this is tough, but call that number and ask for the boss and see if he's hiring for laborers. That's a way to get your foot in the door. And that contractor may very well be looking for laborers and hire you on the spot and offer to take you through the trades while you're working for him. Your school may also have a co-op program where you could work part of the time for somebody and go to school part of the time. So that may be something to look into as well.
Yeah. All right. So so I think it's back to the same advice you gave earlier. You just need to start. So pick up the phone, and the worst thing they're going to say is no. But knowing the demand for tradespeople across the country, the answer is probably going to be yes.
Absolutely. You don't have to stick with the first guy that you find either. I mean, if you start off just exploring, It doesn't mean you're signing up forever. You may not like the guy after a while, or you may just fall in love with him and decide you want to work with him after you go through your apprenticeship training. It's a great place to get started, and I think you would learn an awful lot by doing. After a month of being out there in the field, you'll have a pretty good idea whether this is something you'd want to continue doing or not.
Exactly. Well, Dave, thanks for being on the show. It's been great hearing your story. Dave is with Big Dave's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So if you've got a remodeling project or some handyman work that needs to be done, reach out to Dave. Thanks for joining the show. Thank you, Angie. I appreciate it. And if somebody is looking for work, they can get in touch with me. I bet I can find them a spot. Excellent. Thanks for listening to Trade Up. I'm Angie Hicks. You can learn more about the show at Angi.com/trade-up. Share your thoughts on the show, ask questions, and learn more about the skilled trades.